Hello guys, Robot1 here, coming at you with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and in today's Yu-Gi-Oh video, we're going to be doing a hand testing video for, well, my 12-1-9-0 through 3 different locals. Like literally I went 9-0 and then I went to a third locals and went 12-1, only losing 1 match in 13 matches, and honestly, through 3 different locals I might add as well again, and honestly, this deck is insane. We showed you guys the deck profile the other day, showing you what the deck is, what's in the deck, basically telling you that Scythe DPE is boring and deserves to be banned, and in today's Yu-Gi-Oh video, I'm going to show you why Scythe deserves to be banned, along with showing you some of the routes that this combo deck actually has. And yeah, we're going to be showing you my Scythe DPE, Phantom Knight, Brave, Adventure, whatever you want to call it deck, and basically just doing some random hands, showing you the routes that should always end on DPE Scythe, and pretty much just, you know, play hands, play combos, and see where we go with them. So, let's go ahead and get into this. First 5 cards, let's go and see what we got. So, for the first 5 cards, we have Ancient Cloak, Foolish Burial, War Enchantress, Stained Greaves, and a Forbidden Droplet. So, this hand is already insane. We've got guaranteed clearing our opponent's board going second. We've got War Enchantress for the Brave package, we've got Foolish Burial, and we've got an Ancient Cloak. This hand is everything we could want in a single hand. So let's go ahead and play this hand out. So starting off, we're going to go ahead and use the Foolish Burial of Goods. The reason why we would start with this is just to bait out our opponent's hand trap, but obviously we don't know our opponent is in existence, so we're just going to play this as if we don't have one, but, well, they don't have a hand trap, but obviously if they did, we'd start with the Foolish to play around it. So we're going to go ahead and start off by sending to the graveyard an Ancient Cloak, a Torn Scales. Reason behind sending the Torn Scales to the graveyard is just so we can have it in the graveyard to give us that additional advantage. So we go ahead and put that into the graveyard. Well, actually, no, we wouldn't put that in the graveyard. I'm wrong. We would actually put into the graveyard the Water Enchantress, and there's a specific reason behind this. Because we're already going to be able to get our Ancient Cloak, well, our Torn Scales into the graveyard regardless, thanks to the fact that we can make Cherubini. Now, the reason we go ahead and send the Water Enchantress instead is actually because we go ahead and banish the Water Enchantress from graveyard, which we'll do now, which will allow us to get the right of Armisia, meaning if our opponent does have an Ash, they would have used it by now. And 2, it means if it does go through, we get the right of Armisia, and we have the Water Enchantress in hand to go ahead and allow us to get that additional level 3 summon, and that means we can get the Cloak in graveyard before we actually go ahead and just summon out our Torn Scales. Well, go ahead and put the Torn Scales in the graveyard so we can banish it and get a free summon from said Torn Scales. So we go ahead and do that. We grab the Right of Armisia, putting the Foolish Burial in the graveyard, and then we go ahead and use the Right of Armisia, which will allow us to go ahead and make the Brave token, which will summon in defense. If you're going first, you always summon it in defense because it means that you can just have that protection from life damage, and if you're going second, then you summon an attack because you could potentially OTK them. And we also go ahead and place a Fateful Adventure into the Spell and Trap card zone. So we do that. Now, there's a few options you have now. You can either choose to go, oh yeah, I just want to go ahead and normal summon my Ancient Cloak to go ahead and get the Dracoback Rider. Or you could go ahead and just go ahead and use the straight Faithful Avenger. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually just going to go ahead and special summon the Water Enchantress, actually, to go ahead and special summon it because we've got the token, and then we can trigger the Faithful Adventure anyway to grab the Dracoback Rider. And always grab it to your hand in this deck, because unless you've been rolled and you can't, you want it in your hand for discard fodder, and it's very important to have it for discard fodder. So we go ahead and add that to hand. What we're then going to go ahead and do is, we're going to go ahead and normal summon our Ancient Cloak. And after that resolves, we're going to go ahead and use the Fateful Adventure, which will allow us to go ahead and add from our deck to our hand a Griffin Rider. Wherever it is. And yes, you should have probably got the Griffin Rider before you went into the normal summon, but there's a specific reason why I did this, because actually I messed up my zoning. The zoning right now is actually very atrocious because we always want the Griffin Rider and the token to be on one side of the board. We don't want it to be in the middle or apart, and there's a very specific reason for that, because we could really always use the zones underneath our Cherubini or our Link 2 monster just so we can go ahead and go into other Link plays. So I always like to have them separate just for that reason. So we'll grab the Griffin Rider, and then we're going to go ahead and link these two. We're obviously going to link them into Cherubini, and now that we summon the Cherubini, we're on 4 summons. So just to let you know, you'll always be on 4 summons when you hit the Cherubini. And then we're going to go ahead and summon the Griffin Rider. So that's our 5th summon. So played around Nibiru. Just always make sure you're trying to play around Nibiru, because Nibiru sucks. But yeah, so now what we're going to do is, actually we needed to discard a card for the Faithful Adventure as well. So we discard the Dracoback Rider and then re-equip it to the token because it's just free fodder. We'll then go ahead and use the Cherubini now, and send a Torn Scale to the graveyard. Like so. We'll shuffle it up. And what we're going to do after that is we're going to go ahead and banish from our graveyard an Ancient Cloak, which will allow us to add pretty much anything we want from our deck to our hand. Now, what we're going to add from our deck to our hand here is, because we've already got the Stained Greaves, I think what we'll go ahead and add is going to be... We'll still get the boots. Now, normally you don't need to get the boots, but the reason we're getting the boots here is because I really want the boots in the graveyard to have the ability to search a spell or trap card, so it's just good to get that from your deck to your hand. So we'll grab the boots, adding that to hand, and then we'll trigger the Torn Scale in graveyard to get a free special summon. Now, after that special summon resolves, we're going to go ahead and decide if we want to use the Stained Greaves. Logically, we should use the Stained Greaves just because it will give us that additional advantage. Yeah, we'll use the Stained Greaves. We'll give it a free special summon. So we'll special summon the Stained Greaves, and what we're going to do after that is we have a choice. We can either keep the droplets for just a free negation during our opponent's turn, which would be really nice, or we can go ahead and discard the boots to just go ahead and guarantee we get the search, or we could not discard the boots and discard this, so we can send gloves to the graveyard, giving us another trap in graveyard, meaning we have another way to get another rank free extender on the board, meaning we have plays for around other things as well, plus probably an additional pop with the break sword. But I think that in this video we just want to show you guys, you know, the end board sort of thing, seeing as we've already got the Cherubini and stuff. We'll just go ahead and show you how this will end up with DP Scythe actually. So we'll go ahead and use this Torn Scale, discarding the boots, which will allow me to put a Gloves Engrave. Like so. Then we're going to go ahead and overlay these two to overlay into Levianeer the Sea Dragon. And then we're going to detach a material to summon back the Ancient Cloak. And we're going to link these two into our Artifact Dagda. We're then going to use Ancient Cloak's effect targeting itself, turning it to defense. And we're going to chain Artifact Dagda, which will allow us to go ahead and set from our deck an Artifact Scythe. Like so. Okay. We're then going to go ahead and use the Cloak and the Dagda to make our Verte Anaconda. We're then going to pay 2,000 life points, sending to the graveyard as cost for Fusion Destiny. And then we're going to send the Driver, the Dasher, not Driver. This is not a Cypher engine. And Celestial to graveyard to summon out our Destiny Hero, Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer. And pretty much the last thing we would do after that is just banish the boots that we put in graveyard to add to our hand a Fogblade. So that way, on our turn's end, we'll go ahead and have a Droplet, a Fogblade, and also the Scythe set, so that on our opponent's turn we can just go ahead and DPE effect, killing the Scythe and itself. Or something else you could do is also just kill these two, because when the Despia Archetype comes out, do expect to see Super Poly, so you would just go ahead and pop these two instead, so you don't have two Dark Monsters on the board. And then when it comes back to your turn, your opponent's standby phase, you summon the DPE back, and then DPE effect on their turn again to go ahead and kill these two. DPE effect will be chaining 1, Scythe will be chaining 2, and then you've locked your opponent out of the extract pretty much, along with having a Monster Negate and also a Forbidden Droplets. So yeah, pretty much not bad whatsoever. Like, we've ended on a board that is very, very strong. Our opponent can't play the game because they've been scythed out of the extra deck. We have an Omni Negate, so we can go ahead and stop anything they would like to do. We've got a Fogblade to stop any monster effect they could do, and we've got a Forbidden Droplets that can also stop monster effects as well, plus a DPE that will be back during our standby phase 2. So, first test hand, very, very strong, and honestly, that was... Sure, we had to use pretty much every card in our hand, but the board that we ended on was still really, really strong when you think about it, and we had to discard other cards to allow us to get to this board too. So yeah, we got every card back that we discarded, and we used them perfectly. So let's go ahead and actually go on to the next test hand though, just so you guys can see another hand, a test hand, so you can see different ways that this can go. So shuffle this up, put the extra deck back over here. and let's see where we can go. So yeah, pretty much as I said, this combo is pretty standard every time. Like, you're just going to need 2 level 3s just to make DPE Scythe 9 times out of 10. If you want to end on the Brave Engine as well, you're going to need a bit more potentially, just so you have that kind of lineup too. But majority of the time, you will be ending on DPE Scythe, so you don't have to worry. So yeah, shuffling it up. One more test hand. Let's go for the next one and see what we've got. So next test hand, shuffled up, all in one, and see what we got. So we got Droplets, Ogre, Boots, Torn Scales, and Water Enchantress. So this is pretty much the same hand as before. With this hand, we're literally just going to go ahead and start off by, banishing the Water Enchantress. Water Enchantress will allow us to grab the Rite of Armisia. We'll use that, get the token. Token will go ahead and also bring out the Fateful Adventure, like so. So we have that. With this hand, we have a lot more options to discard. Again, do we want to have stuff for our opponent's turn? Do we not? That's one of the questions that we've got to ask. But we're going to go ahead and continue regardless, where we're going to go ahead and normal summon the Torn Scale, use the Fateful Adventure to grab a Draco back, to add that to our hand. Draco back is now in the hand. We'll then go ahead and use the Fateful Adventure, which will allow us to grab the Griffin Rider. And yes, I've speeded up now. Now that I've explained the basic combo with this hand, I'm just going to speed up, show you that the combo is very easy once you've learned it, because it's really not that hard. Discard the Draco back, re-equip the Draco back to the token, activate Griffin Rider because we've got the Fateful Adventure token, so now we can't get Nibiru'd or hand dropped from this point onwards. We special summon the Boots. We link these two into Cherubini. Cherubini effect will allow us to go ahead and put the Cloaking Grave, like so. We then banish the Cloak, which will allow us to grab the Stained Greaves. You have to grab the Stained Greaves and not the Boots this time, because obviously you've used the Boots for the free special summon. So we grab the Stained Greaves, trigger the Torn Scale for the free special summon, trigger the Stained Greaves for the free special summon. And now, before we go any further, we have a choice. We can banish the Boots to get a trap card in our graveyard, or we can go ahead and discard one of these cards. What we're going to do, though, is we're definitely going to discard the Boots, so that way we can grab the Wings and just have that free Monster Reborn for our turn as an additional extender, or the opponent's end phase as an additional extender. So we'll grab that. We'll then use the Torn Scales, discarding the Wings, sending to graveyard where is it? Our gloves. Like so. Then we'll go ahead and overlay these two, summon out the Levianeer, use the Levianeer's effect to summon back the Ancient Cloak. Then we use these two again to make Artifact Dagda, use the Torn Scale effect, the Ancient Cloak effect to go ahead and turn it to defense, to go ahead and get the Artifact Scythe. Wherever it may be, there it is. Then we go ahead and use these two. Make Verte Anaconda, use Verte Anaconda's effect, sending to graveyard the Fusion Destiny, the Dasher, and the Celestial, summoning out DPE, and then on our opponent's turn again, we have DPE, we have Scythe, we have a Droplets that we can get the free fodder off this because we drew it, and then we have a Ghost Ogre. So pretty much that hand was free cards to be able to just guarantee that we get the adventure package on lock. But if you didn't have the adventure package, all you would need is 2 level 3s to guarantee that you have the DPE, the Scythe, and also end with the Verte. And obviously we go ahead and do this just to play around super poorly as well. So in the standby phase, we can go ahead and pop these two and just, guarantee it. And the best part about this thing is, this combo is, guys, that you still have 2 draws for your opponent's turn, your own turn, because you've got the Celestial and the Dasher. You have a Cloak for a free search, you have the Torn Scales for a free summon, you have the Greaves, you have the Gloves to put anything in graveyard, and you have a Wings for a free revival. So technically, if we did get stopped somehow, or our board was broken, we would still have all the follow-up in the world for the next turn. So yeah, really, really strong. And that was just a really quick test hand, because obviously I've shown you it once. I'm not going to sit for a long discussion about it twice, and I just wanted to show you the next test hand again. So let's go on to one more test hand, as you saw that I can play that hand out really, really quick. And let's see what the final hand is going to be for this video. Hopefully it's something different and a little more unique, because yeah, every hand should be able to end on DPE Scythe, but I don't want to do it every time. if you get what I mean. That's why I find this deck really boring, but it's really good just to win, because it will always win, just for the fact that, yeah, you're not going to ever have a hand that doesn't end on DP Scythe most of the time. If you open that kind of hand, then, yeah, it's unfortunate, but you'll probably still have something you can do, potentially, so you could still probably make, I don't know, DPE, you could still probably make a rank 2 play, you could probably do a lot of different things, potentially. Like, the worst hand is, like, if you open, like, I guess, 3 droplets, and, like, no, not even that. Maybe, if you open Wings, if you open Celestial Dasher, if you open Greaves, and if you open, I don't know, an Ash Blossom. Maybe that's one of the worst hands, I don't know. But yeah, like, honestly, this deck is very easy, this deck is very simple, and your hands are 9 times out of 10 going to be what you see here, and what you're going to end on is going to be like the same every time. So yeah, but let's go into the final test hand here, see what we got, see what it is, and see if it's any different. So we've got a Tracker, Reinforcements, Faithful Adventure, Greaves, and Foolish Barrel. So yeah, this hand is insane once again, so let's go ahead and show it off. So starting off, we're going to go ahead and Foolish Barrel. We'll go ahead and put the Water Enchantress in the graveyard that will instantly banish. If you get ashed, it gets ashed. But if it doesn't, we go ahead and grab the Fateful Adventure and we activate it. Now, obviously, because we've opened the Fateful Adventure, we can't go ahead and grab it from the deck, so it's just going to be in our hands still for now while we have the Right of Amicia token. So we go ahead and put those in the grave. Well, actually, no. With this hand, you wouldn't go ahead and straight use the Right of Amicia. Instead, you would go ahead and activate the Fateful Adventure, then use the Right of Amicia to special summon the token, and then it would trigger the Fateful Adventure that would allow you to get the Dracoback Rider. That would be the correct play, just because it gives you that much more advantage and gives you the additional card. So we go ahead and grab that. Then what we would do is we go ahead and Fateful Adventure, allowing us to grab the Griffin Rider, wherever that may be, adding that to the hand, discarding the Dracoback, and equipping it to the token. So now we have that. We then go ahead and special summon the Griffin Rider. Can't be hand trapped now. Sick. Now we can just go full combo, which is pretty much going to be, we activate Reinforcements of the army, allowing us to go ahead and grab the Torn Scales. We normal the Torn Scales, special summon the Tracker because we got a level 3. Link these two into Cherubini. Cherubini effect will go ahead and send the Ancient Cloak to graveyard, like so. We'll then go ahead and banish the Ancient Cloak, which will allow us to add any Phantom Knight from our deck to our hand. We'll just go ahead and grab a Boots again, just for the same reason as the first hand. Trigger the Torn Scale, special summon it in defense. Trigger the Greaves, special summon it in defense. Go ahead and then... Ooh, there's actually a little different play I could try, I guess, but nah, it's not really worth it. We'll go ahead and use the Torn Scales here. Discard the Boots, which will allow us to go ahead and put Wings in the graveyard. Actually, no, we don't put Wings in the graveyard. We've been over this before. We don't put the Wings in the graveyard. What we put in the graveyard is the Gloves. Like so. And then we go ahead and use these two to make the Levianeer. And then Levianeer just goes ahead and summons back the Ancient Cloak. We use these two to go ahead and make the Dagda. Ancient Cloak turns to defense to go ahead and get Scythe. And wherever it may be. Then we go ahead and use these two. Make the Verte. Verte effect, we'll go ahead and send the Fusion Destinies graveyard, along with the Celestial and the Dasher, wherever it is. Go ahead and make the DPE. And then finally, we go ahead and banish the Boots, which will allow me to get a Fogblade. So, what have we learned in this video? Every hand in this video can potentially lead to DPE Scythe. As long as you got 2 level 3s, it's DPE Scythe. If you have a way to get to the Adventure Token package, you end with an Omni Negate. And also, you will always end with a Fogblade. It will take 2 cards just to go ahead and lead to this. It will take 3 cards to lead to this. And the last 2 cards in hand you have, they can literally be anything because it does not matter. But guys, literally, this deck's stupid. We have all the follow-up in the world in our graveyard for the following turn. We have an entire board of negates / extra deck prevention, because we can literally just go DP Scythe, summon Scythe. Then we go ahead and just have DP for next turn, and you're locked out of the extra deck. Oh, you want to use effects? I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the Griffin Rider, and then get it back next turn with Faithful Adventure. Oh, you got another effect? I'm going to Fogblade it. Like, honestly, this deck is dumb. It's honestly boring to play, I'll be honest. Like, playing it through 3 tournaments has shown me that, and it is very dull. But if you want to win, if you want a deck that's just like guaranteed to go off every single time, then this is the deck that you want to be playing, because it's just so insane, it's so consistent. We're playing 45 cards and we're drawing everything we need almost every single time. And guys, honestly, deck's pretty easy, deck's great, and there's not much else for me to say. Like, if you like this deck, play this deck. If you want to win, play this deck. If you don't want to, you know, just stop your opponent from playing the game and have an actual game, don't play this deck. But if you learned something from this video, maybe you've learned a way you can stop the combo, maybe you've learned a mid interaction somewhere, maybe you've learned something that you can do. Like, for instance, if you Ghost Ogre the Faithful Adventure, then you don't end up dealing with DPE Scythe. Or if you Ghost Ogre the Dagda, then, oh, they have to use the Brave package or have an additional extender. Like, there's a lot of different things in a lot of different areas where you can hit the engine, but even if you do hit them in a specific place, as long as they're getting to the DPE, as long as they're getting to the Scythe, the engine is going to guarantee to go off. But guys, I don't know, that's just my thoughts. Like, this is just a hand testing video that I just wanted to show you the deck in general. If you want to see the deck profile, it will be under the last video bit in the description below, because it was the last video before this one. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Robert1 signing out. Please don't play this, it's boring. I know, I've experienced it. Later all.